listening to Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. Here are your hosts, Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, and Sean Duffy.
And welcome to Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. I'm Rob Troutman. We have Josh Jeffy and Sean Duffy here. Ed Dick out on assignment. We're live from Z's Cream and Bean in Hinckley, Ohio, 2706 Boston Road. And it's close to the corner of West 130th and Boston Road. And Sean's looking at me because he's waiting for it borders four cities.
Because it does border four cities.
Why do you still have your sunglasses on, man?
Because it's sunny.
Yeah.
And I look awesome in them. That's why I still have sunglasses. Now,
I'm glad you have confidence.
Can we?
No, we can't.
Can we just talk about the setup we have here at Z's Cream and Bean? Normal setup, guys. 2 tables, black tablecloth. But I decided tonight was a special night. It's designed to give some hope to the world, some flavor to our podcast. I brought my fantasy football championship belt so that we can gaze upon it in relish in my glory that is my ability to stomp all over you fools in fantasy football. Now, doesn't that make us feel good? Doesn't it bring some positivity to the world?
No, it doesn't. It makes it a bad place.
No, it's a safe space, Rob. It's okay. Josh, it's okay that you traded me Jordy Nelson for what essentially amounted to nobody. It's okay.
I'll tell you what, that was a pretty even trade.
Do you hear something? I mean, all I hear is kind of like, I don't know, a slight humming.
That's fine. You don't have to hear me. I'm being recorded and broadcast out to our dozens and dozens of listeners.
That's okay.
Okay.
See, here, you know, we. have all the fine people at Z's Cream and Bean. They can see you wearing your sunglasses and having your championship belt.
Styling and profiling.
With your Detroit hat.
Limousine riding,
which
jet
is
jet
one of the
flying,
ugliest
kiss
hats
stealing,
I've ever seen.
Woo! Wheeling dealing.
Okay, and they also heard the worst impression of Ric Flair.
Yeah,
that's okay.
That wasn't an impression of Ric Flair. That was just me quoting the man.
Well, since you're talking about doing wrestling stuff in the wrestling business, we would also then call you a jabroni.
That's fine.
So enjoy your belt now, jabroni.
That's fine. This jabroni is holding the strap, boys.
So why don't you do this right now?
Okay.
I want you to shine that up
I'm
real
gonna.
nice.
Oh.
Turn that sideways and stick it straight up your candy, you know what.
Oh.
How about?
That's well, hey, you know what?
You've just been sued by Dwayne Johnson.
We'll go from
and
these
Vince McMahon.
jabronis to the jabronis.
Out west?
No. We're not going to talk Cavs yet. We're going to wait on that. We're going to talk a little Indians baseball and Major League Baseball.
Speaking of jabronis.
No, we're not talking about the Tigers.
No, come on, Rob.
I mean, come on. You know what? And let's look at the Central standings a little bit. We'll
let's
talk
look
Indians,
at
and then we'll get to the.
I think we can all agree.
So if you're out there and want to talk a little Cavaliers basketball, and you have questions for us, or want to talk Indians baseball, please message us here on Mixlr.
Yep.
MIXLR.com, Sports on Tap.
Or just send us your thoughts. We're here for you. It's a therapy session.
There's a lot of therapy needed.
There's a lot of anger out there right now.
Well, and not probably just for the Indians, but for the Cavs at this point. But the Indians are 29 now and 28. They're in second place, only one game out of first, and there's a long season. That's what baseball is unbelievable because the way the Indians have been playing has not been good. They're 5-5 in their last 10. But if you look in first place, the Minnesota Twins are 3-7 in their last 10.
Yeah.
With Detroit 2 games back of the Minnesota Twins, 1 game back of the Indians, and then you have the Royals and the White Sox in the bottom of the division.
But, I mean, no team is more than, 5 games out?
Yeah, 5 games out right now for the White Sox, 4.5 from Kansas City. And, I mean, that's the thing with the Central right now. No team is really lighting it up, but, it's early. It's 57 games into the season. And there's 162 games.
That's correct.
So pace yourself, like all these teams do. It's a long season, but I think it gives you a long time to really figure out your pitching because right now you look at the Indians.
And that's surprisingly
they have some good starting pitching, But then you go towards, even Carrasco, who got lit up a little bit the last time he went out. He's been pitching pretty consistent. Kluber, when he's out there, is usually pretty consistent. But you look at Josh Tomlin. You look at Danny Salazar. You look at Mike Clevenger. All three of these guys who are supposed to bring up the starting pitching has struggled and been inconsistent. Now, the hitting, Encarnacion has struggled, but he's coming a little bit alive. Kipnis and some of those guys, the lineup is getting better. Bradley Zimmer, a rookie this year, has been impressive.
Michael Brantley's been,
he's been hitting very well.
Hitting well. Yeah,
I think he has above 300 batting average. So, the hitting hasn't been bad. It's been inconsistent. They haven't been able to put the pitching and the hitting together, it seems like. But the pitching right now is a little bit disappointing right now.
I think when you look at the pitching staff, obviously Kluber's your ace. Carrasco is probably your legit 2. I think they're trying to find out what kind of guys they have in Clevenger. And I still say Clevenger's just really raw, still a young guy. I mean, obviously he has major league talent, but he's still putting it together. What I'm concerned about is Salazar. I still think maybe that injury is not all the way healed, or that it's rattled his confidence in certain pitches.
More mental,
yeah. Yeah, and Trevor Bauer, I think, is not comfortable in where he's at. Josh Tomlin, I think Josh Tomlin's one of those guys where his whole career has been like one game, fantastic stuff, but other games it's like, where'd he go? Which is, I mean, he's never been really an ace. He's a 3 or 4 guy in your rotation or a long reliever or something like that. So for you to expect that much out of a guy like Josh Tomlin at this point in his career to be a solid 3, I think is asking a little bit too much. And that's where you want a guy like Clevenger, or you want a guy like Salazar to be, so that way you can utilize a guy like Tomlin in those long, middle innings or something like that if you absolutely have to. I just really do think that the pitching coaches need to really work with guys like Salazar and Clevenger to get whatever it is, their confidence level back in certain pitches. It really does. When I've watched the Indians play, and I've only really watched them a couple of times when they played the Tigers, but Bauer does not have a lot of confidence in his good pitches, his breaking ball, his outside fastball, whatever it is. He just doesn't have the confidence in throwing it. And if someone hits him, or someone gets a solid,
someone hits him, they must be brawling.
No, what I'm saying is if one of his pitches that's one of his confidence pitches gets hit well, that you see it rattles him a little bit. And I think Tito Francona would be the first one to say when his confidence is shaken, that's when he kind of gets into his own head in the pitching. I mean, you have a guy like Kluber, and I really think he's struggling mainly because, again, as you said, it seems to be the offense is not exactly hitting on all cylinders right now, just maybe kind of in a slump. Encarnacion is starting to get going. Kipnis, I think, is still kind of coming back into form from an injury. A guy like, Lindor is doing what Lindor does. Ryan Chisenhall is just now back. Hopefully he can get his bat back.
And the only thing with Lindor is a stud, but his point or his batting average has gone down 30 points lately.
And he's going through a slump, and that's what that's what happens. Season peaks and valleys, like you said. He's batting .267, but he's on pace to hit 30 home runs this year. Edwin Encarnacion hasn't really picked up.
It has gone up because he was batting 200s for a while. Now it's up to, I think, 230. Yeah, 230.
It's getting to the point now during the season, though, where you'd like to see the Indians starting to put, few wins together, maybe even have 2 or 3 series wins together in a row. This past road trip they went 1-4 on, which is not very good, but they're dealing with some stuff right now. They're dealing with some injuries. They're dealing with Salazar, who was a little rocky to say the least, and then you wonder if his confidence was shot, and then he went to the DL. Now they're going to kind of be working with him to try and fix whatever issues he has. But this is where you're going to need to see guys step up, in the face of injury. I think one guy who's done that pretty well is Bradley Zimmer. Mm-hmm. He's come up and provided the Indians with some decent hits and some speed and some good fielding when they had the injury to Chisenhall. So, they're there. Luckily for the Indians, the division is not all that strong. So they are still definitely in this thing. They just need to get it together, and they're going to have to start getting it together pretty soon, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, the one thing you'd like to see a little more consistency with the pitching and them figure it out, because Tomlin's a guy that he's a spot pitcher where he depends on a lot of location pitches. He's not going to overpower you with a fastball. Bauer has pretty good heat when he can throw the fastball, but
when he can
it's all about location.
When he finds his spots, when he hits his spots, Bauer's as good as any pitcher in the major leagues. Problem is that over a 3 or 4 start, it's like up and down with him. It's very difficult it's difficult, I think, for any manager to count on Trevor Bauer at this point right now.
Well,
I think it's like we got to wait and see what kind of which Trevor Bauer shows up. The guy that's ready, that's sharp, or if it's the guy that gets rattled or gets too much into his head and trying to overpitch or overthrow certain things. I mean, look, I think Trevor Bauer, and I want to make sure I'm
good
very
stuff.
clear, he has a very, very talented skill set, a very, 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 very talented arm. I just think, he's a strange fellow. Most major league pitchers are. They have their quirks. They have things like that. And I think that from whatever I've read on Trevor Bauer, he gets too into his head when he's in the game, when he's in the moment. He's very analytical like that, and that can be great if you're looking at film or if you're working on something outside of the game. But when you're in the game and you're over analytical about things, it creates a situation now where you're worried about the 3 pitches you threw before, not the 2 pitches you got to throw now, or the 1 pitch. You see what I'm saying? And again, I think the same thing is with Salazar. I think you can really, I think Salazar is more trying to shake off an injury more so than we think so. Maybe that could be it, because when he's on, he's on. He's your legit.
Well, he has
starter.
good stuff too. It's just, can he locate it?
Yeah.
And I think one thing he's going to do is they're going to try to figure it out in the bullpen and see what he can do. See if he can regain that confidence, because you could tell he shot a little bit. And Bauer went against the Colorado Rockies, who are in first place in their division, and they're solid this year.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell he even said after the game he struggled to locate his curveball and his off-speed pitches.
Yeah.
He couldn't locate them, so then he said, he tried to find other pitches, and he was all over the place.
Which creates a problem when you try to go to your fastball, because now they know that's
they're waiting for it.
Yeah, now they know that's the only pitch that's going to be in the strike zone or with any consistency. But I think
it's a long season.
I'm with Josh. You guys are 29 and 28 right now, right?
Yeah.
Getting over 500, and we're like, I mean, let's be really clear. It's June 8th. I mean, the season doesn't end until September.
Doubt.
So, I mean, to be in second place in the division at, second week of June, you got to love that, because it creates now, so many times in the years past it's been, God, they've dug themselves in such a hole the first quarter of the season that they spend the next quarter trying to dig themselves out, and then how much energy do they expend? Now they're right in the thick of it in the division with the Tigers and with, I still don't count the Royals out. I really do think that Minnesota is more of a,
maybe they're a first half team.
I don't buy Minnesota right now. It's a scary proposition to me to say that the Minnesota Twins are going to be the team that comes out of the Central Division. It really does. I just don't see where it comes. I think the other teams figure them out pretty quickly, and they benefited from not having to play a very difficult schedule in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I think we'll see. If they continue on a hot streak in the second part of the season, then maybe I'll start to believe in them a little bit. But they're still a young, talented team, but they haven't been able to really put it together. And
Right.
I think when you look at the Tigers, they still have a lot of veteran, solid players. I mean, J.D. Martinez is back. He's ripping it up there.
Yeah,
you still have Miguel Cabrera. You still have Ian Kinsler. You still have a lot of talent on that team that, they can still be a dangerous team.
And the Tigers still have a pretty solid starting pitching rotation. Again, it's been the same old story, same old song and dance for the Tigers over the last 10 years. It's get me to the 7th inning, and then what happens?
Yeah,
it becomes a gasoline fire, because we went out.
Who's their closer?
Francisco Rodriguez is still listed as their closer, but he's gotten better. But
I think they were using him in the 8th. Actually, now
they're using him as
somebody
setup,
else.
and I think there's somebody, I can't think of his name offhand who closed the other night. But I mean, I think I'm a huge Tigers fan. We all know this. I get apprehensive anytime. Like I love a Tigers game first inning through about 7. And then 7 through 9 or 10, I just don't want to watch because I know what's going to happen. I've seen it. If we're close, we have to be up by a multitude of runs. It's for me as a Tigers fan to feel comfortable going into the 8th inning and handing the ball over to Francisco Rodriguez at this point, because if it's close, he's known to give up hits. He's known to give up base runners, and those base runners somehow make it across the plate.
Well, I know you're looking, he's a Tigers fan, but Sean really is a closet Indians fan because he's going to the game on Saturday, and
because it's my wife's birthday.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, is that your excuse?
And they're playing the White Sox, so anybody that
Sean came up with a
Sox,
great idea to go to the Indians game, and he said he's pretty jacked about.
You know what? I want it on the record. My wife specifically asked to go to an Indians game for her birthday.
Smart girl.
And I said, absolutely, let's do it. And she goes, but you cannot wear your Tigers hat. So I'm not allowed to wear my Tigers hat.
Good.
I will.
I don't know why you would, really.
Don't be that guy.
I know.
That wears.
Oh, and do you know what?
A baseball hat to a baseball game?
No, a baseball hat of a team that's not playing at the game.
Oh, yeah. Like last year when I went to an Indians, I think it was Indians-Royals game, a dad and his kid wearing New York Yankee jersey and hat, and I just walked past. I said, dude, you're pretty far from New York. The Yankees are way that way playing tonight. Why,
And what you did was just ruin a father and son thing. Maybe they were like, hey.
Well, they were lost. I was trying to give them guidance.
I think you were just being typical. Hey, this is our stadium. You can't wear different colors.
No, if the Indians were playing the Yankees, that makes sense. But
I don't get it. You're wearing they're wearing baseball attire at a Major League Baseball stadium.
That's like me going to Detroit and wearing Indians clothes, but they're playing the Mets. Like, that doesn't make sense.
No, because people do it all the time. I don't think less of them.
I do.
Well, you guys are snobs.
No, I just think it's there's
other
hats like this guy that Rob's talking about.
Why would he even go to the game?
He's got a hat and jersey.
Hat, jersey. He had the full 9 yards, man.
Maybe they're doing a tour of the stadiums. Maybe that's their thing. Maybe they take pictures of
there's a great reason for it, but at that time, it doesn't make sense. I hope
people wear Indian stuff at other games too. So are those people the same?
Yeah,
there's a problem with those people.
So if you went to a Padres game and you saw 2 people wearing an Indians hat, you would say, "What?" And they weren't playing the Indians. What are you doing? Not. Yeah. Are you from?
Yes.
Are you from Cleveland? Maybe your only baseball hat is a Cleveland Indians hat. Come on, guys.
No. I just still don't.
I think it's a party foul.
I think
it is.
This is a
I
testament.
think it's
always
another baseball unwritten rule.
I think so.
There's so many unwritten rules in baseball.
Add it to the
list.
They
could write a book of unwritten rules.
Exactly.
And
this is on page 69.
That would be a top seller.
Family show.
You took it there.
It'd be a top show.
First number that came
top
to mind.
Book. But
But I disagree because you look at baseball overall, it's such a regional sport. The Indians have the entire Northeast Ohio all the way to Pittsburgh and all the way to Chicago.
Now here,
Reds have the southern half of the state pretty much all the way to, St. Louis. You know what I'm saying, from the National League. Like, it's such a regional sport.
If he took his son to like BW3s and has the Yankees hat and shirt on and he's watching it. If he's watching on the TV, to me that makes sense. But to go to an Indians-Royals game in full New York Yankee gear, to me it just doesn't make sense.
Hat, okay. I'm starting to give a little leeway on the hat itself.
Yeah, okay, just a hat. But
hat
a full
is fine,
jersey.
All right, the jersey's tough to dissect. But me wearing my Tigers
I
hat,
think he's
but that's the same thing. So you're saying if I wear my Tigers hat,
just a hat.
I only say it because it's you.
Right, yeah. I know that. But I'm saying if I'm just,
and it's the Tigers.
Well.
But you know what?
I'm constantly looking to give the Indians crap.
That guy is probably trying to throw it in like, the Yankees are the best, and
I'm
proud supporting it.
After last year and the way they're playing this year, I would, if I'm a Yankees fan, I'm feeling pretty good about my team right now.
They
got the judge. They got the judge.
Aaron
that guy
Judge
should have been. He could put on pads tomorrow and be the Browns' starting tight end.
But we have Zimmy ball game. Bradley Zimmer.
He's been 273.
4 home runs?
Yeah, he had 4 home runs.
I'll take Aaron Judge.
RBIs. I'll tell you what. I'll take Bradley Zimmer all day, every day.
Over Aaron Judge?
6'5", got great speed.
Even your cohort is saying no. He would take Aaron Judge.
I would take Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge is like 6'6", 265, pure muscle.
I would definitely probably take Aaron Judge over Bradley Zimmer. No offense, though. No offense.
Bradley Zimmer. Hey, you're in the major leagues. I don't care, but I'm just saying.
All right, let's see what he's doing so far this year, because I know it's impressive. He's
321.
Okay.
6'7", 18 home runs, 41 RBIs. He's 6'7", 282.
Oh, okay, my bad. I shorted him an inch and 50 pounds.
He has, he's been doing pretty well.
6'7", 282, and you want Bradley Zimmer.
I don't. No,
Hey, let's give Zimmer a chance here.
I'm
man.
not saying he's not a good player.
I think he's going to be a really good player.
I'm sure he will be, probably. I mean,
but
I
bright futures by both. But yeah, right now Aaron Judge is absolutely killing it. He was born in 1992.
Yep. He's just turned 25 in April.
So I guess I have a question for you Indians fans. Are you at all surprised with the way that Michael Brantley's bounced back from this injury so far this year, or is it as expected with what he's been doing in the offseason?
I think the way that his injuries were, how he tried to attempt to come back last year and he couldn't, and he just ran into complications after complications. I think your expectations were really lowered.
Yeah.
So Brantley, I think they were extra careful with him, and I think they did a good job. And he's almost back to where he was. Dr. Smooth, and it's nice to see him in there. And it doesn't seem like there's any ill effects. So I'm happy. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for the Indians. Because I think he's a pretty big piece.
And if you know Michael Brantley and you listen to what he's gone through, I mean, he's a guy that just he's in the locker room. He's there early every game trying to get rehab, trying to practice and perfect the outfield position and hitting. He's going to be successful. I mean, he's that kind of player, and he's showing it out there. I mean, he's hitting well. He's making the plays in the outfield. You could tell he's starting to get more and more comfortable out there. And that's pretty important, especially for Michael Brantley, who's a consistently good hitter, always batting over 300. And I think he's going to be a pretty good player this year. I think he's going to continue, and he could help Bradley Zimmer and some of the younger guys, because the Indians are still a pretty young team. But we'll see what happens as the year goes on. It's very early, and we're going to step away.
Yep.
We'll take a short break. We're live from Z's Cream and Bean. Beautiful outside. A lot of people enjoying ice cream here already. I haven't had any yet. Josh has had a few things already, but one, a vanilla milkshake that he enjoys. Sean, a chocolate milkshake. Beautiful day here at Z's Cream Bean. Come visit. You want to talk Cavs? We'll get you on the air.
Therapy session starts after the break.
Yeah. We'll let you talk a little Cavs, Indians, whatever you want to talk about. But our next segment is talking Cavaliers basketball. We'll break down the series so far. But we're also going to talk a little bit about the future and what that may hold for the Cleveland Cavaliers moving forward if we can't do the unthinkable. From Z's Cream and Bean, we're Sports on Tap. We'll be right back.